Hello and welcome back. In our last e-lecture, we discussed the IPA symbols found in English, but in particular we focused on the consonants. In this e-lecture, however, we take a look at the vowels. So let's begin. First one is the long E sound. It's like you're pronouncing two E's. Example, meet. Notice how it's achieved by E and A in the letter system. Meet, fleet. Next up you have the A sound, so it's kind of like you're pronouncing the name of the letter A, as in bait, hate, mate. Next up is the OO sound, something like a double O, but be careful, don't let the double O fool you in every word. So the OO sound is something like shoot, or fool, tool, goose. Next up is the O sound, as in the word hope, rope. Then we have the Ah sound, as in hot, rot, pot. Now we have a few examples of some of the shorter vowels. So this is the I sound, as in sit, hit, bit. See how this contrasts with the longer E sound, as in fleet. So this is different. This is a lot shorter. I, E, hit, bit, beat. This is the E sound, as you get in set, bet, met, sell, tell. This is the A sound, as in sat, bat, mat, or hat. This sound is very similar to this one. I, as in hoses, roses. This is the Schwa sound. Now the Schwa kind of sounds like everything. The Schwa basically is a vowel that's been reduced, so it kind of has a flavor of the original vowel that was reduced to become a Schwa. We'll talk more about this later. But the Schwa can usually be identified because it's in an unstressed syllable. Take for example the word as a verb, convert. Convert. The stress is on this syllable. This syllable is not stressed. So this sound is reduced to a Schwa. So this part is pronounced as the Schwa sound. Convert. Here's the same word, but with stress shifted to the first syllable. Now this is pronounced ah. Convert. Something like the ah sound. Next up is the something like but, mutt, umbrella, cut. Next up is the sound, as in put, foot. Now the last sound isn't very easy to distinguish in American English. In fact, it sounds exactly like this sound. The ah sound is in hot, pot, caught. But in British English, these are pronounced differently. This is pronounced hot, which would correspond to this sound. And this is pronounced caught, hot, caught, which would correspond to this sound. So, an easy way to find out if you're dealing with this sound or the Americanized sound is to look for these kind of configurations. If you have a vowel with a W sound or a UGH, then most likely you're dealing with this one. Last but not least, we talk about something called the diphthongs. Diphthongs are really two vowels together. So the first one sounds like a ah with an E. Ah, E. Something like lie, buy, my. Next one is ow. Something like now, loud, sound, round, and how. Next up is oi. Something like boy, toy, soy. Next up is the A sound. This actually sounds exactly like the letter A. You feel that it has a small little Y attached to it. Examples are say, play, lay, hate. Now you may notice that this sound is very similar to a sound we already talked about, the A sound. Actually, hate was used as an example for this sound as well. What we need to keep in mind here is that it really depends on the speaker and how you pronounce it. If you feel that there's a small little Y sound or a Y coloring in there, then you can consider it to be a diphthong and use this one. Last sound we're going to talk about is the O sound. This is similar to the previous sound in that you have a sound, but you feel that it ends up with a secondary pronunciation. So like this one ends up with a y type of pronunciation. This one ends up with a roundedness or a W coloring. Examples are no, no, low, toe. Okay? And with that, we will have finished discussing the main IPA sounds that we can find in the English language. Now, this is not by any stretch the entire list of all IPA sounds. Like I just mentioned, we are focusing on those IPA sounds that can be found in English. And so, we have discussed the IPA symbols in English. In particular, we discussed the consonants and we discussed the vowels. When it comes to the vowels, we discussed short vowels, we discussed long vowels, and we discussed diphthongs. That should be enough for this lecture. Thank you.